Hey guys, if you're shopping for knives and gear, make sure you check out the description of the video you're watching right now for a link to my Amazon store where I've compiled some of the very best items available, including some of my own personal recommendations. Thanks! What's going on YouTube? Middle Complex here, and today I've got a really special knife review to share with you guys. This is the Quiet Carry Drift. This is a knife that has made some serious waves in the knife community, and for good reason. Let's take a moment to appreciate this. This is something that I talk about all the time, that I want to see more often in the knife world, and they have done this perfectly. Look at the texturing. I love this. I love this. It is so beautiful. It provides a good amount of texturing without being aggressive to the hands, and it's so aesthetically pleasing. And I know that not everybody likes diamond checkered titanium texturing, but God, I love this so much. This was sent to me by a viewer who wishes to remain anonymous. He sent this along with some other amazing knives and 3 gifts, which is just fantastic. Thank you so much, Mr. Anonymous. I really appreciate that, and rest assured, you guys as the viewers will benefit from one of those knives. We will talk about that down the road. Really appreciate that. Thank you so much to my generous patrons for supporting me right now. If you'd like to check out my Patreon and get your hands on some of these cool stickers, you can check out the link in the description. The support would mean the world to me. Let's go ahead and get a measurement on this guy. Overall length of the Quiet Carry Drift coming in at 7 inches overall. I assumed the first time I saw this knife, I looked at that, by the way, this is one of those knives where I looked at it and went, oh my gosh, that looks like a good knife. You know, it was like, it clicked in my head. I was like, that's got a lot of elements that I look for, right? In a lot of ways, this to me looks like a Shaman. I'll show you guys real quick. You see what I mean here? We're kind of looking at a smaller titanium Shaman that's a little bit grouchy. Oh my gosh, it's weird to laugh at your own jokes in a basement while you're playing with knives. Anyways, yeah, that's kind of what it looks like to me, and I really enjoy the Shaman. I thought this would be a bigger knife, but I'm realizing that it doesn't need to be bigger. There's a lot of excellence here, and we're going to cover every last little bit of it. Very cool. Let's see here. Size comparisons up against the Ontario Rat Model 1. Rat 1 is coming in at 8.6 inches overall. How about up against the Spyderco PM2? Spyderco PM2 is coming in at 8.3 inches overall. How about up against the Benchmade Griptilian, or in this case, the Ritter Hogue, which is, there it is, the Ritter Hogue coming in at 8 inches overall. I think this is about where I thought it was. Now, I'm not saying I wouldn't appreciate a knife, you know, a drift of this size, but God, I hope I said drift. I hope I didn't say waypoint. Ah, well, we'll edit it. Up against the Spyderco Para 3. Spyderco Para 3 actually ending up being the best size comparison here at 7.25 inches overall. You can see there it's just a little bit longer, but take a look at those ergonomic lines. I always talk about my preference in ergonomics, especially on smaller knives. For a long time, I refused to carry a knife that was under 8 inches because I had to have a full 4-finger grip on the knife, and I just, you know, didn't find any smaller or medium-sized knives in this. These are medium-sized knives to me. That I could actually, you know, enjoy ergonomically, but because of the positioning of these areas in here, and because of the generous forward choil area, I can enjoy knives of this size, and that's part of the reason. That's one of the things that makes this knife so excellent, in my opinion. So where can you get this? You can only pick these up on the Quiet Carry website. To my knowledge, these are made in the United States. You can check out their website. I believe they are available, but I think it takes a couple of weeks to get your preferences, you know, processed and then shipped and things. There are a few different variations of this. They have full tumbled blade. They've got I think I could be wrong, a satin finished blade. They've got smooth titanium. They've got obviously textured titanium. A few different things. I would imagine there's bead blasting in there too. Check it out for sure. Let's go ahead and talk about action. This guy is running on phosphor bronze, which is excellent. I love knives that run on phosphor bronze for EDC. It is nice and smooth. It's not going to be a drop shot. It's just kind of a smooth sort of hydraulic action. It's very easy to manipulate. This nice little opening hole here allows you to do the reverse flick if you'd like. And then also kind of, it's a little bit harder. You can kind of get the thumb flick this way. But I found with this knife, I actually really like to just pinch open it and wheel it around. Or, of course, you can just do the simple wheel around or the reverse flick. If you want to do the fidgety stuff, the reverse flick works just fine. Absolutely wonderful. No complaints there whatsoever with Phosphor Bronze. That is a great system for general EDC. Carry profile. Actually, let's do the hardware check first. Get out my handy dandy WIA bit selector and WIA magnetic stubby driver, 2 items that are very inexpensive and extremely recommendable. You can find them both down in the Amazon store that I reference at the beginning of every video. Just pull up in the store, look for knife maintenance, and there you go. I'm going to guess that everything on this guy is T8. We're going to check here real quick and be careful. Yeah, T8 right there. And then it looks like we're looking at T8 here and T8 on the, darn it. See, I don't want to move this around and mess anything up. There we go. T8, and that's going to be T8 as well. T8, 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 that's wonderful. You can see there on the show side, it's got kind of a Chicago screw setup. So I believe the pivot is captive or D-shaped barrel on the inside. I seem to remember that from a disassembly video. I don't know that for sure, but I would guess that that's the case. And then you have the 2 Chicago screws back here. So really it's just a couple of screws and then the other parts. You know, you don't have to really... that's always nice. I mean, like, I understand, like, the number of parts is the same, roughly, you know, as if there were screws on the other side, but only having to undo a couple of screws on one side is preferable, right? So that's really cool. This knife is going to be easy to disassemble, and everything's T8, so that's excellent. Let's do carry profile. So up against the Spyderco Para 3, look how thin this is. I love my overbuilt knives, guys, but, you know, I mean, like, there's something to be said for a knife that is just exceptionally easy to carry. And, yeah, we're looking at a super thin knife, right? Let's go ahead and do height up against the Spyderco Para 3 and PM2, 2 knives that are, you know, that have awkward carry profiles and nobody ever complains about. Look at this. Yeah, this is a super winner, guys. It's nowhere near as tall or long as either of these guys. And with blade length and overall length, and handle space similar to the Para 3, that's pretty impressive. Let's go ahead and measure blade stock thickness. This is like the Waypoint that I reviewed, very thin on the blade stock. So 86 thousandths, am I reading that correctly? That is just ridiculous. Let's go ahead and do weight. So we are looking at titanium and, you know, like I said, a thin blade stock. And then on the inside, surprisingly, they have milled it out. You guys ready for this? Weight on this guy, coming in at 2.68 ounces overall. Did we measure blade length or cutting edge length? I don't think we did. I think we just looked at overall length now that I'm thinking back. Sometimes I screw up, guys. So 7 inches overall, and then blade length is 3 inches, and cutting edge is 2.6. Yeah, that is excellent. By anybody's standard, pretty much, unless you're like, I can't carry anything heavier than the Benchmade Mini Bug Out. Well, okay, for those people, I guess this is too big. But for the other 99.9% of people on the planet, this is going to be an exceptionally easy knife to carry no matter what you're wearing. Even if you're wearing athletic shorts or skinny jeans or leather pants, whatever, this knife is going to be super easy to carry and appropriate in a lot of different settings. It comes in at exactly, you know, the blade length comes in at exactly 3 inches. So in some areas, you're going to have to be a little bit careful. It depends on, you know, it's going to be circumstantial, but they will call that 3 inches in some areas. So be careful about that. But for the most part, this is going to be very, very acceptable, you know, to carry. So really, really cool. Did we get through everything? Did we talk about everything? Yeah, I think that we did. So let's talk about the anatomy here. Once again, these textured titanium scales are just beautiful, and it's just enough traction. It's just enough, but guys, it's only on one side. So you gain the benefit of the traction. I talked about this in my Excalibur series and my quest for the perfect budget knife or whatever. I like there to be texturing on one side so that you gain the benefit, right? And you do. The way that you're holding it, you're contacting that. So it complements the ergonomic lines, which are great, by the way. But then getting it in and out of your pocket, the pocket clip slips over a smooth surface. So it's very easy, and you're not having to deal with that texturing mess. I mean, maybe the inside of your pocket, I guess, over a very long period of time, but it's just the perfect amount of texturing, and that's really, really great. All of these areas, everything is nicely knocked down, and it's very beautiful up close. I mean, take a look at that. The tumbling on the titanium is very pleasing to the eye. The fitting of the hardware is very pleasing. They keep those four little dots there that are indicative of a quiet carry design, I guess. I mean, I've come to look at those dots and go, yeah, that's quiet carry. But it's nice. It's really, really nice. The presentation of this knife is very, very beautiful. Moving on to the blade. It's got an oval, kind of reminds me of the Honey Badger opening slot, right? There's a lot of knives that use this. It's excellent. It functions basically the same way as a Spidey hole. It's not quite as accessible, but it's accessible enough to where it really doesn't bother me. This is Vanex Super Clean, which is something that you guys probably should expect to see more in the knife world moving forward, like LC200N. This knife, this blade steel emphasizes corrosion resistance, I think above all else, but still manages to have excellent edge retention. Not insane. We're not talking M390 edge retention, but really good edge retention. And it's also really easy to sharpen as far as I understand. I don't have a lot of experience with this blade steel, but you're not going to find a lot bad about Vanex Super Clean. This is going to be one of the, more prominent, preferable EDC blade steels that are out there. And I feel like that we're going to see more of it. We're definitely going to see more of LC200N. I just feel like Vanex Super Clean is going to be a new thing, right? Excellent, excellent EDC blade steel. Perfectly, emphasized or accentuated by this design. We have a blade stock that is ridiculously thin, almost a fully flat ground blade, and it comes down to a freakish laser beam of an edge. This is a lightsaber. This is one of those things that starts cutting the material before the blade even contacts it. Not really, not literally, but man, this is a performance-oriented slicer. Now, with blades like this, obviously, there's not much in the way of tip durability. So use your best judgment when you're cutting with this, right? Don't start, trying to cleave a brick in half or anything like that. I mean, this is an EDC blade steel. This is not a hard use knife, right? It's not built for that. This is built for simple cutting tasks and continuous cutting on light to medium media or material, whatever you want to call that. Excellent. The execution of the blade is also excellent. There are no sharp edges up here. The blade is even, and it's done very nice glassy, smooth edge, right? There's also tumbling. I'm going to get my fingerprints off of this real quick. There's also some light and very pleasing tumbling going on here. So we have a slightly reflective blade, but a very even sort of small grain structure tumbling it's just really nice. And I like that. The presentation of the blade is great. It just says Vanex and Quiet Carry. And the name, I think, is very appropriate. Obviously their philosophy here is minimalist in design to only put things on the knife that are necessary, in a functional way, right? I mean, do you need titanium? No. Does it have to be Vanex? No. But I mean, they're excellent materials that have benefits, like titanium, of course, is excellent in terms of strength to weight ratio. And then Vanex, we kind of went over that. But then everything else, I mean, there's no flash here, right? I mean, any flash is just a side effect of, the initial idea, which is function over form. But fortunately, this takes a form that is very pleasing to the eye, at least for me. So that's great. That is the sign of an excellent tool, and I really, really like that. The inner edges of the opening hole are also knocked down, so you don't have any, fingernail fraying going on there as you use it. There is jimping up here that is functional and the right texture. There is plenty of room in this forward choil to really lock into it. I'm really happy about that. There's a lot of room on this handle despite there being not a lot of overall knife. And that's, again, what I was talking about there, why I prefer a forward choil, because it allows me to carry and enjoy a knife of this size without feeling like I am, you know, confined to this area back here. It's just barely 4-finger back here, but with the addition of that forward choil, right, I don't feel super confined on that handle. It's what I like about the Shaman. The Shaman's a much bigger knife, but just the profile and the room on the handle is great for a knife of this size. It feels very comfortable to lock into this guy. There's nothing on this knife that really bothers my hand, and I really, really appreciate that. This is ready to go. As soon as I pick this up, it makes me want to use it. And that blade is really, really going to be great, you know, no matter what type of EDC task you're doing. We have a backspacer back here that's titanium, and it is flush. You can see that they made room for the lanyard without it being obtrusive or aesthetically displeasing. That's perfect. That's another great way to do that. So you can put a lanyard on there if you want. And then again, the wire clip, you know, for the longest time, I was like, I don't like the wire clip. It looks like a paper clip. Blah. And then now I'm experiencing all of these different designs that actually make sense with the wire clip. You know, I mean, the wire clip functionally has always been great, but aesthetically too. In this case, the wire clip actually does complement the design. It looks good and it carries absolutely deep. The screw is recessed. There's not much of a bill, and in any case, the wire clip, I think, is actually quite a bit stronger than a regular pocket clip because of, I don't know. I mean, the retention on the thing is great, but it just seems like it would be much harder to bend this out and break it. I mean, if it does, I'm sure that their warranty will help you out. Obviously, don't listen to me. You need to contact them if something happens, right? Because I don't speak for them. But yeah, this carries super easily, and it's easy to get over, you know, if you're wearing sweatpants, athletic shorts, right, leather pants, jeans, whatever it is that you're wearing. Yeah, it's going to be easy to get over. And again, it's complemented by, you know, the smooth surface of the titanium on the other side. So yeah, perfect. Literally perfect. We do have a steel lock bar insert doubling as the over treble stop. This knife locks up at some very thin blade stock and actually a thick, despite the overall, you know, thickness being not much, right? The surface contact largely comes from the lock bar. So it's locking up, it looks to be about 50%. And then the blade comes in absolutely perfectly centered. Can we see that? Perfectly centered. Man, how about blade play? Nope, not a hint. No blade play on this knife that's very thin and initially might feel kind of delicate, but it's not. It's solid. It's ready to go. The only delicate part of the knife really is the tip of the blade. And most people, I think, are, you know, most people are smart enough to know, like, you don't dig that tip into something and start prying around. What can I complain about here? Is there, I mean, I try to find things that I think are worth pointing out, but guys, I don't know that I really can complain. It's so easy to manipulate. It's ready to go. I mean, you know, like I said, I mean, it's not, in some places, I suppose, because of the blade length, it's going to be illegal. Some people aren't going to like the fact that it's got a forward choil, but in this case, I think the design needs it. I think it's great. I don't know that I really have anything to complain about here. So let's talk about price. The price in this guy is $315. It is a simple design, right? It's a simple construction. There's not an enormous amount of complexity going on here, but the design is one that absolutely, purely emphasizes function in an EDC setting, which is, I mean, we're at a point in the knife world where people, you know, collectively, all of us have kind of like, you know, given our ideas, and Quiet Carry seems to have taken every collective good idea that I think the majority of the knife community agrees on, you know, in terms of what makes a good EDC knife. And then they were like, here's the drift. It has everything that everybody likes. It's made out of materials people like. It's made in the USA, as far as I know. The blade steel is Vanex Super Clean, which is, again, it's sort of what people look for in their EDC blade steels. I mean, obviously, there are going to be aesthetic and functional elements that are not preferable sometimes in some cases, but there's a huge, like, massive part of the knife community that looks for all of these little tiny things. And truthfully, I mean, you know, there's only a few things missing from what I consider to be an Excalibur knife. You know, I always talk about wanting external stops and wanting contouring, but the lack of those things does not make this knife any less functional. I truly cannot complain about anything here. The price of $315, I mean, it's not explosively like, wow, crazy deal, you know, but I completely understand how they got there. I think if this knife was around, I don't know, $275 or something, I'd probably be a little bit more excited about it, but Do I think this knife is worth 315 bucks? Yeah. For one of the most perfect EDC folding knives of all time? Yeah, and I mean that, guys. This is literally one of the most perfectly executed EDC folding knives that exists. And I am not the first person to say that. That is not a unique thought, right? But I'm also not borrowing this idea from anybody else. I'm not being influenced by anybody else. This is my opinion, just picking this up, manipulating it, looking it over. Yeah, if you're looking to check every box in your EDC folding knife and get something that will last you as long as you take care of it, this thing is built to last, and it will last as long as you take care of it. And it will also be a convenient cutting tool. I mean, this knife is built to get stuff done quickly, right? To whatever it is that's in your way that requires a knife, get this knife out, use it, and then move on. That's what this is. This is a tool, and it just happens to be a very beautiful tool, in my opinion. Excellent knife. I can absolutely recommend it. This knife will be going on 2 playlists. It's going to be going on my most recommended knives playlist and also my favorite knives of all time playlist, because this is definitely one of my favorite knives. And honestly, had I handled this before I did my recent top 15 greatest folding knives of all time video, it would have gone on that list. It's that good. It's that good, guys. If you have an opportunity, pick this up. It's worth the money. I understand $315 is a lot of money, but this is really, really good. Guys, that's going to be pretty much it for today's review. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like. If you'd like to check out my other content, I've got a whole bunch of videos of knives that are either expensive or inexpensive that I do or don't like. So check those out. And if you enjoy all my content, go ahead and click on this Metal Complex logo right here and subscribe, because there's definitely more coming. Thanks again for watching, everybody, and have a great day.